Hi there, I'm Alex from the Southern Ukulele Store, and today we're going to look at concert ukuleles. I'm excited. I'm flowery shirt excited. We have a bit of a bias here on this channel towards tenors. When I look back through the amount of videos I've made, a high proportion of them are for tenor ukuleles, and the reason for that is because the tenor is undoubtedly the most popular ukulele size. It's the one we sell the most of. 6 out of 10 ukuleles actually, to be exact. But 3 out of 10 ukuleles we sold last year were concert ukuleles, and it's gone from being the most popular brand to a very steady second in the tiers of popularity. So we're going to look at 10 ukes from 10 different brands at 10 different prices. We're going to look at something from the beginner all the way up to something made in Hawaii by a company with a family legacy. So stick around, let's take a look at some concert ukuleles. The first ukulele we're going to look at today is the Snail UKC-480. This ukulele is part of a series of laminate ukuleles that Snail do, aimed at beginners, but not too cheap. They're unplayable. You know, these settle in around that $1 to $150 mark. So if you're somebody who's going to pick up a ukulele, they want it to play, they want it to be well made, they want some nice features. For example, this has an ebony fingerboard and bridge, which you just wouldn't typically see on a beginner's ukulele. The tuners are a die-cast Snail tuner, and it has a 35mm nut width, which seems to be the most popular size for a concert. There are some others in this list though. And you have a laminate zebra wood body on this particular ukulele with front and back cream binding. There is a tiny rosette as well. It gets lost in the shuffle with the wood grain, but it does add something to it. And finally, the Snails have this thing that a lot of people get worried about, which is a pull-through bridge. So the string would go in the bridge, you would feed it out of the hole and then tie a knot when restringing. There's a video on this channel. In fact, I'll put a link in the corner now if that's something that you want to know more about. I actually did the video on a Snail. Yeah, let's give the UKC-480 a play and see what you think. Next up today, we're going to take a look at a flight ukulele that I don't think we featured before. This is the Flight DUC-450. We don't stock the entire flight range because they do so many travel ukes for beginners and ukuleles up to about £150 that it's actually very hard to keep everything in stock. But one uke that we do always keep in is this laminate mango concert, which is undoubtedly a really nice looking ukulele, and the mango used is good on a satin finish. So it has this kind of lived-in look to it. You have rope binding, or I should say herringbone binding, around the front, and you have a herringbone strip on the back, which I just think, you know, for a ukulele for a beginner, this looks like something that you're going to want to keep. You have these buffalo horn inlays. Are they buffalo horns? More like a kind of buffalo horn-esque inlay, like a split parallelogram inlay going up the fingerboard, with a walnut fingerboard, so that's why it looks such a light material. You have a walnut bridge, and it's a traditional tie-on bridge. Once again, a 35mm nut, and you have these encased gold tuners. The flight ukulele also comes in a really nice gig bag, and I just think it's a great package for a beginner. Let's give the Flight DUC-450 a play and see what you think. Next up today, we're going to take a look at the KoAloha KA-SSEM-C. This is the first solid top ukulele we're going to look at on the list, and price-wise, it sits very nicely along with that Snail and Flight that we've just looked at. It has a solid spruce top with laminate exotic mahogany for the back and sides. The mahogany is stained a nice brown colour here. A lot of the early KoAloha exotic mahoganies were stained a kind of tango orange that put people off, but this is much more tasteful. And you have black front binding. I believe it's a wood binding, but I'm not 100% sure. A wood binding for the front and back with a really nice big sound hole rosette, and the front herringbone-esque binding again as well. On this particular model, you have a rosewood fingerboard and bridge with a head plate that's that exotic mahogany again, and some slightly better quality, in my opinion, open back geared tuners. So yeah, you get quite a lot for your money with the KoAloha. You know, a solid top at the same price as many of the laminate ukuleles, and a really worthy starter instrument. In fact, this could be a perfect step up for somebody that's bought kind of a toy level ukulele for their first uke. And there's nothing really not to like. Some people don't like the look of a spruce top, but sound wise, that spruce gives you a bit more projection, a bit more colour, as I'm hopefully going to demonstrate for you now. Let's give it a play and see what you think. The next ukulele we're going to take a look at today is an old faithful here at the Southern Ukulele Store. This is the Islander AC4. Islander are the Chinese-made starter to intermediate brand made by KoAloha. KoAloha Ukuleles, Hawaiian company, one we all know and love. And the Islander series has been a tried and tested uke at this particular beginners to intermediate price point. They do a whole range of ukes, solids and laminates, but the thing that sets them apart from many of the other things at that price is the nut width, which on every single Islander model, soprano, concert or tenor, is a 38mm nut width. A wider string spacing of about 30mm gives you about 3mm extra room on the fingerboard. If you've got big hands, big old sausage fingers, this is a great brand for you to look at. If you're somebody that's used to classical guitar, or you're used to playing instruments that require you to have a big span when you play, then Islander are a fantastic brand to look at. The AC4 is laminate acacia, and the other USP, a unique selling point of the Islanders, is this pin bridge, which you don't often see on ukuleles. When you do, it's usually on a premium model. The pin bridge gives the string a more true contact with the top than a tie-on bridge. Essentially, the idea being that you get more sustain out of it, although I'm not sure how much of that is true and how much is a myth. It's worth noting that's the point of the pin bridge. You have a rosewood fingerboard and bridge on modern Islanders with unbranded, but looks to me like Grover open back tuners. And just once again, you have that 38mm. It's a bone nut and saddle. And one thing that a tip I can give you if you're watching this video and you're thinking about buying an Islander is they have Aquila strings fitted to them, standard Nile gut Aquila strings. They sound good, but they can sound a bit thick and they can sound just a tiny bit restrained by them. I highly recommend switching over to some clear fluorocarbon to get the best out of it. Let's give the Islander AC4 a play and see what you think. Next up today, we're going to take a look at the Barnes & Mullins BM UK 10C. That's a mouthful, and the name the code that they've given it doesn't do this justice, because this ukulele is more than just a code. It has loads of personality. It's the only Barnes & Mullins ukulele we stock right now, but it really stood out to me. It has the DNA of a flight ukulele. It looks to me like it's made in the same factory, but it has a solid mahogany body, so an all solid mahogany uke, solid mahogany top, back and sides, with a really nice high gloss finish. You have a beveled edge cutaway so that you can kind of feel where you are. It's comfortable. You're not going to get that sharp edge on your arm down the line. It's built to be played. It's built to be enjoyed. You have a rosewood fingerboard and bridge with the Barnes & Mullins classic banjo style headstock. I love their logo. Take a look at that logo. So cool. You have open back geared tuners that are black and gold, very stylish, very modern for a traditional ukulele. And you have a 36mm nut width, just a tiny bit more space on the nut, with a really nice deep round shaped neck, so it feels more like a professional instrument. Kind of feels like a tiny tenor, you know. It's got that concert but jumbo vibe to it. Comes in a nice padded gig bag. It has that same bridge that the Snail had earlier on I told you about, where you pull the string through and tie a knot when you're restringing it. But nothing not to like. A ukulele that made us rethink an entire brand that we didn't stock. So let's give the Barnes & Mullins BM UK-10C a play and see what you think. Okay, and here's another modern classic. This is the Pono ACD. Everyone knows about Pono. They are one of those ukulele brands like Kala that represent a certain type of ukulele, a certain quality. Pono started out as the sister Indonesian-made version of KoAloha Custom Instruments, KoAloha being a custom shop in Hawaii, Pono being kind of the house brand that takes the spec of those ukuleles but recreates them more affordably using a factory in Java in Indonesia. Very small factory, only really produces Pono instruments, and what you've got as a result of that is 10 plus years of consistency. You know, a Pono today feels and sounds as good as a Pono 10 years ago. It's the same ukulele. There's been no kind of evolution, adding beveled edges at the start, which to some you might think is a shame, but those that just want good wood, traditional ukuleles, Pono are for you. And this model is the ACD, which stands for Acacia Concert Deluxe. What's deluxe about it is the figuring of the acacia itself, the gloss finish, and the ebony fitting. So it has an ebony fingerboard and bridge. And it's a bit confusing nowadays because when the CITES regulations on rosewood came into play about 6 years back, Pono made a shift away from rosewood. So it used to be that the standard model had rosewood, the deluxe model had ebony, but they made the decision at that point to switch the standard model over to ebony, and they've stuck with it even though those restrictions have relaxed. So all of them, including the standard and deluxe, are now ebony, but that's why this has the name ACD. God, I'm boring myself. I'm very sorry, but I've explained it now. Back of this ukulele are these gold Grover tuners, the real deal. So, you know, a good quality brand tuner with a 35mm nut width and a bone nut and saddle. The Ponos have the gloss finish on the body, but they have a satin neck, so they feel comfortable and they feel lived in from new. And yeah, there's nothing not to like about a Pono ACD. So let's give it a play and see what you think. Okay, moving from a modern classic that's established to a modern classic in the making. This is Luthier, and this particular model is the light Maho. So the light mahogany, light meaning concert, because this is a concert size, although actually on the surface you could be confused for thinking it was a tenor, because it has the elongated lower bout of a tenor. The body shape is more tenor-like, but the scale length and the size of this ukulele is definitely a concert, albeit chunky and jumbo. It's a jumbo concert. There's nothing wrong with that, is there? The first thing you've noticed is this sound hole on the side. So you have here a sound hole pointed back at the player, 2 split sound holes, and then you have one here as well, a very tiny sound hole aiming back at you. And I really like the tiny sound hole because you definitely hear a difference when you play a note and when you take it away. It's, you know, it's going to affect me more than you, but take my word for it, this little sound hole here has an effect. It's all solid mahogany, but you have this very cool stylized rosewood bridge, as well as a rosewood fingerboard with a neat cutout there. It's bound in what I believe is a really nice maple, and you have the Luthier head plate in rosewood with these aged steampunk-esque open back tuners. Yeah, it's a jumbo concert. There's nothing not to like, and it's the most requested ukulele for me to make a video on. So the dozen or so people out there that have emailed and asked, you finally have a sound sample. I'm going to play it for you right now. Okay, next up today we're going to take a look at the Millar TM-240WG. This is a very cool traditional spec ukulele, and it reminds me of many ukuleles that have been popular in the past and continue to be. I'm thinking of a Nui Nui's AMM series and the discontinued Eastman ukuleles, or the Sigma ukuleles. Basically, anyone who's successfully tried to recreate the magic of an old Martin ukulele over the years. And the Millar is the latest in a long line of ukuleles that have succeeded to do that. It does have a Hawaiian twist though, because it has this really lovely rope binding. I love the rope binding. I know it's not to everyone's taste, but tiny pieces of maple and rosewood layered next to each other all the way around, creating a traditional, very early Hawaiian ukulele look, but with the mahogany, Pennsylvania, Martin approach to it. But it still has that Martin vibe, you know, that Martin lower mid frequency presence. If you don't understand what I mean, you think about how a ukulele, when the C string is more prominent, when those darker notes come through ahead of the brightness, that's what we talk about when we're saying kind of a soulful uke or a dark uke or a jazzy uke. It's those lower mid frequencies having a more presonant sound. And because the body is so small, when you get those lower frequencies, I think people automatically assume it's going to sound guitar-like because it has more depth. But the smaller body, it saturates, and it creates this really salty, gorgeous sound that really accompanies a singer very, very well. And that's why mahogany has endured as a popular ukulele wood over the years. You have a rosewood fingerboard and bridge with the classic Millar headstock and the rope binding there, and then on the back you have some good quality open back geared tuners. The nut width on the Millars is a 35mm and it has quite a shallow neck depth with an almost flat point on the back. So if you're somebody with small hands, or you're somebody that likes a traditional style ukulele, then the Millar is for you. Let's give the TM-240WG a play and see what you think. Next up today, we're going to take a look at a ukulele that I designed actually for the Southern Ukulele Store. This is an exclusive model. This is the big Island Uli-C. Now you're looking at it on face value, and if you've not seen it before, you're just seeing this cedar top. Nothing wrong with cedar. Cedar is a wood that has depth and colour, and if you're a fingerstyle player, it gives you projection but a good amount of warmth whilst keeping things nice and clean. But if you do want something a bit different, this ukulele has mango back and sides that have been stained green. This very ukulele was actually reviewed by Gotta Ukulele and received a very good score. I'll put a link in the description to those that want to read an impartial review of this, because I am biased. I think this is one of the best ukuleles that we've ever had at Southern Ukulele Store, regardless of size. In fact, so popular, we're expanding the series and we're going to launch later this year the Pony, the Poni, which is Hawaiian for purple, which will have a dark purple stain on the back and sides. You can email me at alex@ukulele.co.uk if that's something that interests you and you want to know when they turn up. The overall package of this big island is undeniable though. It has a rosewood fingerboard and bridge, cedar and mango as a tone wood combination. It's just the best. It's thick, but it's warm, but it's loud. It's got all of these things that people ask us for, and yeah, it's a great ukulele. High gloss finish, and the neck itself is gloss as well, with the classic Big Island headstock, a bit like that Barnes & Mullins one, but this is designed to be a kind of turtle shell, the back. And you have De Jong geared tuners. It has a 35mm nut width, so it's on the more traditional side feel-wise, but it does come in a hard case, and it's still well under £1,000. So for a high-end ukulele, it's a great option. And it's the only uke where I feel like I'm trying to sell it every time I talk, because I play mine every day. I've got the tenor version of this, and I love it. It's one of the best things that I've ever done with the Southern Ukulele Store. So let's give this Uli-C a play and see if you think it holds up to my glowing recommendation. Okay, to close out this week's video, I knew I needed something exciting, something that would keep your attention after the Uli, and I knew that I had this up my sleeve. This is a KoAloha KCM-00MG. KoAloha make a few different series of instruments, but the important thing to know is the standard series, which is the 00 series. The 00 series is high gloss, made of either koa or mango, and what you get is this unique body shape with the musubi rice bowl sound hole, an ebony fingerboard and bridge. KoAloha's 5-point crown headstock with a mahogany faceplate. It's not even a faceplate. The mahogany neck with a bare mahogany front, and an abalone inlay at the headstock, which is just to die for. Modern KoAlohas have geared tuners made by De Jong with the amber buttons still in place and a little KoAloha logo on the tuner. Some people have been disappointed with their move away from friction tuners, but I personally prefer the geared tuners, having owned several KoAloha concerts and changed the tuners on all of them at some point. You have a 37mm nut width with slightly recessed fret edges, so it has a slightly narrower string spacing but a slightly wider nut width. And why is a KoAloha so special? Well, you're going to hear it in a moment, but the Mango series of KoAlohas have all of this bubbly, bright, and really just projecting loud, boisterous KoAloha tendencies. These are the things in the KoAloha DNA that people look for and love, but the Mango gives it a slightly smoother bottom end. One thing a lot of people don't talk about with KoAloha that I love is the heel joint, which tapers in and then flares out at the end. It makes for a really comfortable experience, and I think the extra weight in the middle keeps this ukulele balancing on your hand really, really well. KoAloha have only made 3, maybe 4 batches of mango ukuleles in the last 10 years. It's not something that they make all the time, despite their website being kind of quite keen to say that they do. I believe it's one of those things that they make when mango comes along. So you're not always going to see mango KoAlohas on the shelf. It's probably more likely you'll see a variation of Koa. But for me, the mango one is the one that always catches my eye. It's always the one that catches my ear, and it's a great ukulele to end this video on. So let's give the KCM-00MG a play and see what you think. There we have it, folks. We've looked at 10 concert ukuleles from 10 different brands, lots of different price points, but which was your favourite? Let me know in the comments section. If you have a question, you can contact me in the comments section of this video or in store on 01202-430-820. You can email me at alex@ukulele.co.uk, and I will be back very, very soon. Have a good day.